in her praise of you, Denise Chavez mentions that you call upon the ancestors and family in your new book during your struggles along the journey. And with your permission, I'd like to read another part of your book that fascinated me in this regard, an imaginary conversation with your mom. And here you wrote, your mom said to you, "Do not be afraid, Mijita. Fear is false evidence appearing real." And you responded, "I hear you, Mama. Fear will not get me through this." Yolanda, I want to know more about how you drew from the wisdom of your mom and perhaps other ancestors or family members. Is that something that you have to deliberately think about and remember and do, or do those memories just come to you? Do you have to open yourself up to them in some way? Can you help us answering those questions?
Well, that's a big question. And that night, there were many nights like that. This is right after I went into the hospital. When you said those words coming from my mother, I felt like I was going to start tearing up because, yes, drawing upon that was was a painful time. And I was taught that fear, F-E-A-R, is false evidence appearing real. We need to know that. It tells us that in the Bible. But we dwell on fearful thoughts, and then we get stuck in fearful thoughts, and then we live our lives based on fearful thoughts instead of just moving through them and looking at what is the truth here. And the truth was that I am a creation, a perfectly healthy, well creation of God, a Father, Mother God, an all-knowing, all-loving Father, Mother God. And I have to align with that knowledge, that truth. And that's what I was doing in the hospital without realizing it. I did it naturally because I drew upon my mother's teaching and what I'd learned. Maya Angelou spoke at the All Saints Episcopal Church that I used to attend when I was in Pasadena. And this is decades ago when I was living there. And Maya Angelou spoke one day, and basically she said, "We've already been paid for. We can draw upon our ancestors. They've already, done. They paid the dues for us. We can draw from their strength, from their experiences, from the good, bad, and the ugly that they have experienced in order to bring us to this point in time in our own lives." So I think that's what was happening too, that I was connecting with what I learned with ancestral history. And what I read now, it's all of the frijoles audially, which is now available for the blind and physically handicapped through the Talking Book program. I realized how much spirituality was in my first book. And these are things that I learned from my mother, and that I included poetry and songs and stories. But all of that is part of my genetic blueprint. The indigenous spiritual values of the indigenous people of the Americas, the St. John of the Cross, and the strong Christianity Catholicism of Spain that was brought to the Americas. And so all of that is part of who I am. It's all part of who we all are. We're not just this point in time. And we can tap into all of that. You asked how. It's not an action. I don't say I'm going to sit down and have this experience. It's when I'm open, when I'm meditating, when I'm praying, when I'm emotionally in need of something. If I'm quiet with myself, then those thoughts come. In the nights at the hospital, those thoughts came in abundance, and it saved my life.